goes.
Well, hello everyone and welcome to this week's Global Star Party. Just a slight deviation from the normal plan. We've gone back to the US-Canada episode that we missed last time. Just to sync the southern one in a bit better for some of our viewers. So with us tonight we have Michael from the US.
Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing? I actually have almost clear skies, but I decided I was going to show you guys a bunch of cool software stuff instead. So buckle up.
Excellent. We also have Perry, who I believe is also from the United States.
Yep, I'm in New Jersey.
And it looks like you're outside a nice dark sky.
Well, got a little bit of clouds. Should be able to show something.
Perfect. And we also have Russell from up in Nova Scotia.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, Russell.
Oh, Mike, do you want to start us off?
Sure. One of the things that I was lucky to be invited to recently was the Northeast Astronomy Imaging Conference, or NEAC, as someone said it was pronounced. And so I got to give two talks. I got to talk about GIMP, which is a image processing tool, as well as Winjpos, which people may have heard about if you follow my stream or feed. Is a program that does a bunch of different stuff, but mainly it does this derotation thing. So I'm going to scratch the surface on it because it's a deep topic that would probably take the whole show if we were to talk just about that. So I will show you a couple of cool things in both of those programs right now before I turn it over to some of the live views here. So actually, we will start with GIMP now. If you can read it, it says unstable development version because I am running, and the biggest ding against GIMP has always been that it's 8-bit. It's free, which is great, but it's 8-bit, so nobody wants to use it because it's no fun. But they've been talking about and thinking about this 1632-bit version that does HDR and all that kind of stuff for a long time, and they've actually released it. It's, I think, still in development. I haven't checked. I've had this for maybe a few weeks now. But what's really cool about it, other than this unstable development version, is that it will open your deep sky stacker stacks. So, I stack mine and they're 32-bit TIFF files. So let's go ahead and show you that because that's actually really cool. And I'll give a quick process to it. So let's see. We want, if I can find all this stuff. Perry's seen all this, so where is it? Examples. Here we go. Deep sky. I have. Here we go. Okay, not that one. Let's pick. What was the one I showed? M51. Okay, so this is about an hour and a half, or an hour and 40 minutes on my 14-inch telescope. And so I have a version that I save. So and if guys know in Deep Sky Stacker, you can save it as a bunch of various bit depths, but the default is 32. So I have a 16, but I also have this one here too. So watch this. This is cool. So it throws a little error because it doesn't understand one of the headers in the file. Now, if you try to open a 32-bit version in the previous versions of GIMP, it just shows us a little checkerboard pattern. It doesn't know how to interpret all the data that's in here. But if you look on the top here, I don't know if you guys can see. It says grayscale 32-bit floating point. And what they added in this version of GIMP is in image, they added this little drawer here called precision. So now there's 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, and 64-bit, which I don't even know how you get to that. So you notice this one here is in 32-bit floating point space. And then what's cool is you can actually process it as 32-bit. And some of the Photoshop tools, you actually have to scale it back to 16-bit mode. So this one you can just go right ahead and say, let's see, I do basic curves, and I have a saved setting for curves. So I'll hit it with that once. And I did some comparisons during my talk between this version of GIMP and the previous version of GIMP that would open the 16-bit stack file but it would only show you, in 8-bit mode when you process it, and so it didn't look as good. Well, just trust me on that one. So then the other thing I'm going to do is levels to bring the black point up, and what you'll see is a nice even gradient, because I didn't flat this picture. So it's a decent picture of M51. I think we took this last year sometime. So what you see, let's go 1-to-1 mode there. In these corners, I got a light corner and a dark corner here just because I didn't flat it, and it's a very nice smooth gradient all the way across the image. So I mean, all I did was curves and levels on this. I didn't do a whole lot to it, but I mean, you can see it's fairly smooth. This is 300x, so processed pretty nicely, I think. So that's GIMP. It's got some nice things that you can do with it in this new version here, and there's tons of other things that you can do. I'll show you one quick thing here that I like to do. There's filters and plugins and all that kind of stuff. One of them that I love is this high-pass filter mode here. So high-pass filter is a way to bring out more detail. I haven't done it on the deep sky stuff, but what you do is you run this filter on it, and it makes it look kind of strange. And then what you do is you change the mode to soft. This is a downloadable filter. I'll go ahead and zoom out one maybe. Let's see. Okay. So this is without the filter, and that's with it. So you notice how much more detail it brings out. So I do this to a lot of my images too. So that M109 image, I processed it pretty much the same way. And it brings the nice spiral structure out, brings all the little knotting and fine details and things like that out. So if you're looking for a nice free piece of software that you can fool around with, GIMP has a lot of cool things that you can do with it. So I'll leave GIMP now, put that in the background, we'll come back to that later. Now I'm going to show you another program. This is a completely different animal here. This is called Winjpos. And actually, this version, which I downloaded just last week, is already being superseded by a new version. So 10.2.5 is out, and a lot of the updates that come out are to program in new maps. So there's changes in Jupyter, especially all the time, that they try to keep up to date with, and little bug fixes and stuff like that. So this program is being developed all the time. It originally started as a Jupyter-only program, but you can see here all the supported planets. I don't know what kind of sun support there is, but just to get you a little bit started here, our friend Grant Blair in New Jersey had been out imaging, I think, a night or two before, and missed. Let's go to Jupyter. He missed one of the Jovian moon interactions, and I told him, I said, "Oh, I showed you how to do this. You got to go into the graphics mode here in the ephemeris, and you get to see all this cool stuff, right?" So here's Jupyter, and this is I think it's based on NASA data. I don't know where you get this, but you can put your own maps in here, and that's how I make all the rotating maps, and then you can spin them around like this. So, but I think the coolest thing is, let's actually go back. So this is why I use this program for planning purposes. Is in the ephemeris you can see the moons of Jupiter, right? And so you can actually go ahead and pick, let's see, Europa, Ganymede. You can pick Ganymede, right, and you can take it along for a ride. So you can kind of step it forward in time. It tells you the time, and you can see it's moving. So you can see here's Jupiter speeding towards us. But now what we actually just missed, because we're zoomed too far out. Let's go back to 10 o'clock. So, I mean, even the moons have little detailed maps on them. And this will actually show, you can see, maybe not so easily here because it spins too slowly. You can see it spin around too. So what we're looking for is this event right there. See how cool this is? It doesn't just tell you, what happens when and what time, but it actually gives you a good visualization for it. So if you missed that, there's the shadow of Europa being cast on the surface of Ganymede. And a little while later, wait, let's watch it again. I can watch this all day and night. Yoink, right? Cool. Okay, so then a little while later, they actually pass each other twice this night. This is actually back in 2014. But you can still see, events that happen now. They pass really close to each other. I think in the next pass they're even closer. So that's fun. That's good planning purposes. But the main thing that you do in Winjpos and this is where a lot of people will spend a lot of their time, is this image measurement. So what the image measurement does is it allows you to import your own photos, and once you've defined the edge of the planet, you can do that a bunch of times and start to do that whole derotation process. So let's see. Yak. Let's look at one of the Jupiter pictures here. Oh dear Lord. Derotated singles. This was a lot of work, this one. All right, so okay, so here you go. So this is actually a better example than I showed in the talk, really, because it has the moons in it too. Now the one gotcha is the moons are here in the image measurement, but you can't actually derotate the moons. So what you're going to do is probably want to zoom in, and you can't see it, but there's use the arrow keys, and it doesn't show on here. I have it in the presentation. I'll show it to you later. The arrow keys are used to take this outline and draw it over top of the edge of the planet. Right? So you move it. You're going to zoom in and out. Okay, you're going to want to swing it around the right way. So you'll spend some time getting this, and once you get it right, the only thing you really have to do is you'll save this for this particular image, and I'll take a bunch of these. Say each one of these is like a 90-second picture, and you'll watch over the course of a half hour, you pick the best ones, you line them all up, and then you can go through this derotation process that essentially stacks it all again. I don't know if I have enough in here to show you. I think I do. Let's see. So you say, once you're done measuring them, you go to derotate images, and then you add all the image files that you have. Let's go to the Mars one here. This, I'm in the wrong body. Let's try Jupiter then. Oh, here's a good one. Where's my map set? Let's do 4 of them there. So I import these map files of all the measurements that I did, and what you notice here is that the central meridian for each one is painted onto this little sphere here. And so if you can kind of visualize that this one is before, this one's a little after, and this one is the central meridian that it's going to center around, and this one's even later. And then what you're doing is essentially taking them all, and like the maps, I don't have the images there, so it didn't derotate. But what it'll show you is a composite of all 4 of those, so that each one is lined up and stacked over top of each other. So you essentially, you've stacked images, you've measured them, and then you stack them again. So all the, a lot more of the noise comes out, and it looks a lot better. So I'm showing you visually. So you're taking, 2 images at two different separate instances in time, and you're putting them over top of each other, but they're offset slightly because of the time rotation from the 2. So that's Winjpos in a nutshell, and I highly suggest you check some of my videos out, and we can maybe do like different tutorials and stuff like that. We can like have live workshops and stuff like that on this, if you guys are into that. Depending on how everybody's weather goes in the next few months. So I'll stop now so we can look at some real stars.
Oh, thanks, Mike. That was most entertaining.
Cool.
Thank you, Mike.
We'll switch to Peary. What are you up to, Peary?
I've got an image of M35 I took a little earlier this evening. How do I show that?
In the left-hand side, there's a little pop-out panel, and there's a little green monitor-looking thing with an arrow, a white arrow on it. If you press that, it'll allow you to either share the application or your screen.
Okay, I clicked it.
You should see like a little pop-out window that asks you what you want to share. It might be somewhere else on your desktop or pop behind maybe. Okay, well, I'll let you fiddle with that. I'll give you something else to check out here. Let's see. Let me go back over here. I found something cool. So I don't know if anybody had seen, but I had taken a picture of, and I'll just go ahead and open it up here. M109, I think it was, last December. I said to myself, oh my gosh, I left this sitting around for how long now? Let me show you the picture first, in case people haven't seen it yet. Let's see. Here, okay. So it's a pretty decent picture of M109, right? Let's see. And so what I do is I take these and I put them into astrometry.net here. And so this solves it, and it tells you it's M109, right, which is kind of cool. But what it does is it allows you to download a FITS version of this. This is called plate solving. So basically plate solved it on this website here. So it just tells you, you know, what it found in this particular image based upon it looking at the stars and figuring out where in the sky it is. So it tells you, you know, the stats about your image, you know, this RA and DEC and that kind of stuff, image scale. So it knows exactly where it is in the sky. So this FITS image allows you to use it in different programs. So I take it into Cartes du Ciel. If I said that right, I'm not French. And come on. You can use it as a background image on top of the stars. So let's go ahead and here. This is where we are in the sky. This regular old sky chart. It's planetarium simulation software. And all the blue, all the red oval things here are different galaxies that are in this particular area. And all you do is you say, set the background image as that particular FITS file. And because the FITS file contains the RA and DEC, it centers it up on your screen with the star chart over top of it. And so I do this because I just think it's fun to know what else is in my image. If you notice the astrometry.net, where did it go? It tells me it found M109 and then 2 stars, HD, whatever's, right? So, but there's all sorts of other galaxies in here. It didn't tell me about those. So I pipe my image back in here. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So I put my image back in here. This is my image, and I'm going to shut off the galaxy markers here. So you can see there's a galaxy here. What I was looking at was this one over here, because I look for little tiny ones. And I like to set little distance. So this one here, we're going to look at this one right there. Okay? But I just want to make sure you guys can see it, because it's really far away. I'm going to blow your mind. I tell you, I'll show you the calculations. This galaxy right here is 3 billion light years away. Trippy, right? It's right there. So let's look at it. Turn the markers back on. So you see it. It's right there. I'm not lying. Okay, everybody sees it. And I suggest you guys do this too, because it's a lot of fun. So I'll shut it off again just to make sure you see it's there. And come on, it's too slow. All right, so what we do is, this is kind of weird. This is hard to do. Oh, no, I got to turn it back on. All right, so when you click on it in here, it tells you a little bit of stats about it. So it's called PGC 4011294, and what I'm looking for here is the radial velocity. But before we go through the calculations, it's magnitude 19, and it's really small, and it's really far away, and I don't think I see this one, otherwise I would have gone for the littler one here. So you take the radial velocity, this is like total nerd stuff, right? You take the radial velocity, and I have a blog about this, and you pipe it into here, so it's in kilometers per second. This little web page here converts kilometers per second to speed of light in a vacuum. So essentially you can calculate kilometers per second to C, or Z, okay? So Z then turns into a distance, so we pipe, this is how fast it's receding away from the Milky Way, 22.1% of the speed of light. So we convert that value to light years. It is 3,043,000,000 light years away from Earth, magnitude 19. Now, normally, I would just go, oh, that's a really cool picture, M109, and I see a bunch of other little cool galaxies there. But I see that, I'm like, holy sh! I sat in my driveway, and these photons that left this galaxy, like when slime was the dominant thing of life on Earth, and they traveled for that long before they fell into my telescope, and I converted them to electrons and shared it with you guys on the internet. That's crazy. That's really crazy. It freaks me out, man. It's just standing in your driveway looking up, and you see this kind of stuff up there, and I go, wow, that's really weird. So, big universe out there, guys. Let's see more of it.
It is. Oh, Russell,
Curious.
you got the Flickr group all set up. Do you want to share that for a little while?
You gotta unmute yourself, buddy.
Oh, well, while Russell's sorting himself out, this is a little sunspot from what's on the sun at the moment. It was taken yesterday, which Google is making a horrible mess of overexposing for some reason.
Doesn't look too bad on my screen. Does that have a number? And this is a HA, right?
No, this is white light. This is
Is it really?
Yeah,
Wow.
active region 2529,
Nice.
taken through a 132 mil refractor.
That's awesome for white light. So there's a Mercury transit coming up. Just like what? Just under a month, isn't it?
May 9th.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you're gonna get to see it, Paul. Are you?
No, not from down here.
Darn. Are we gonna do a live broadcast for that? I only have a white light filter, but I did the Venus once years ago with the big party, the virtual star party thing. And we had
Yeah, we should
do
do
marathon for that one. Yeah. I'm definitely planning on doing it. That's for sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
That
Russell,
sounds like a plan.
Cool.
If it's clear, I'm off.
Off work, you mean?
Yeah.
Nice. You said Monday or something? I forget. What day is it? It's the 16th? The 16th is a Monday. I think it was the 16th. I don't remember. Russell, go
May
back to
9.
that.
Monday, May 9.
The 9th, okay. Alright, that was close. There you go.
Oh, Russell, take it away.
We have an image of Mars here from Ralph Smythe in the UK, shot on the 14th of March, or April 14th, sorry, with an 8-inch telescope.
Those dates look funny. I always advocate ISO dating, but that's a pretty good picture. I only got one picture of Mars this year. Sad.
And here's an image of Jupiter I shot on March 27th with the 4 moons and the Great Red Spot.
That's not easy to frame. That looks good, man. You did good on that one.
I shoot 2 frames, one for the moons, one for the planet.
Oh.
ROI it a little.
Nice.
Yeah, then overlay it. Yeah, it's a little
This is-
easier than.
Seriously below freezing in March? It's cold up
Yeah,
there.
yeah, it's pretty cold. This can show you what you can do with a small telescope. I only have a 127 millimeter telescope, which is 5 inches, which isn't really a big telescope for doing planetary work, but it works. You can do planetary work with a smaller scope.
Very nice, man. But Perry, did you figure out how to share? I want to see your would you get a
It
galaxy
doesn't
picture?
want. It doesn't want to let me.
No. Let's see. Yeah, when I hit you saw the screen share button, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a green with an arrow.
Yeah, mine pops up and says, share your screen Google Hangouts. It doesn't give you that?
Mine, I click it, it doesn't do anything.
Really? There's no permissions or anything like that in here, are there?
Yeah, I've never run into that.
Strange. Oh, that looks like HA.
Yeah, this is an image by Paul Stewart
Nice, Paul.
of 2529.
That's sweet.
I think Paul has the Calcium K version there.
Yeah, so I went to the NEAC show and I saw a couple of Lunt and other solar scopes. And I was like, oh, I was so tempted to buy it because I've seen your pictures and it just looks so great. I'm like, I really should get one of these. We've got, the Mercury transit, and then we got a solar eclipse coming up here next year in the U.S. And here I am with just a white light filter. That looks cool.
Yes, everyone should buy a solar scope.
What are the bright white areas? Right, so I know that the dark areas are where the magnetic field lines dive down through the photosphere, I think, right? And it causes a cold area on the sun. So are the light areas hotter? I don't know much about the sun.
Paul's our resident expert.
It's a cool moonshot.
I have an image of the moon here from March 14th.
So what part of the moon are we looking at, Russell?
It's gone. So I'll show you the one and only Mars photo I got was back in December when Mars was a meager 5.1 arc minutes. And so I use Winjpos to take this map with all the names on it because I'm terrible with all these names, just as a reference so you can see what's where and everything. I still don't know all these names. But that was the only one I have so far. But some folks have been getting some really good pictures. If I can find some really good ones that people have been taking recently, there's been some nice changes going on.
Oh, this is the full disk sun in Calcium K. The big sunspot being the main feature.
Is that recently?
Yesterday, before the clouds developed.
Cool. So this one's not mine, and I didn't ask permission, but if you guys follow the amateur community, the one name comes up the most is Damien Peach. This is Damien's photo from March of Mars. Yes, he took this from Earth. I think he's got like what he said, phoenix feathers or something like that on his telescope. Something magical. I don't know. I've never taken anything this good, and his scope is the same size as mine, so the guy knows what he's doing. And I think here, this one's kind of cool too. He's got the blue clouds. So the blue data shows you the clouds, right? So all the bright areas here are Martian clouds, and you can see the North Polar Cap up here. And you can see some of the dark areas where the land features are. But I mean, he's on Earth taking pictures of the meteorological patterns on another planet. That just floors me. Mars is by far and above my favorite planet. And now that it's big, I think I'm going to take the scope out and start braving this pollen that pollutes my skies and ground here.
You do pretty good yourself, Mike, on Mars. Some of your pictures are amazing.
Yeah, I'll pull last year's out. Maybe show you guys some of those. Thank you.
Haven't you done a rotation of Mars once?
I have. Well, let's go find that. Let's see. Where did I put that? I think I put it on Imager.
Oh, while you're finding that, Perry can tell us about his image I'm just displaying there.
There you go. You took this just tonight?
Yeah, probably
Nice.
about an hour ago. So it's M35 and Gemini, open cluster. And then there's another open cluster right next to it, NGC 2158.
Nice.
It's a
Really nice.
2-minute exposure. I have my scope set up at f2, so it's a wide angle, about 1 degree by 1.5 degrees.
Wow. You got a what's that thing called? You got a Schmidt Cascade, right? Yeah, Hyperstar. That's cool. What kind of camera did you put on the front?
I have a Celestron Nightscape 8300 one-shot color.
Oh, cool.
Nice camera.
Yeah, it's doing pretty good. I'm actually going to put to take the Hyperstar off for the transit, and I'm getting a focal reducer, so with my DSLR I can see the entire sun.
Oh, nice.
Hope to have clear skies too.
Would be nice. I missed the what was it, 2012 transit of Venus. I saw the 2004. I don't think I can wait 108 years.
Me either. I wish. I missed the last one too. The whole eastern seaboard was pretty much wiped out for the last Venus transit.
I got lucky.
Rained out.
Yeah, I actually set up because it happened around sunset, I think, for us on the East Coast here. And I went to the community pool. I got permission to go to the community pool because it's got a good view with no trees in the way, because I got a lot of trees in North Carolina. And I'm setting up, getting everything ready, and all of a sudden a little day shower just passes by. I said, "Oh crap, I gotta get." So I went and grabbed one of the pool umbrellas and I just covered it up. And then as soon as it started, it was gone. But
Wow.
so, yeah, I got very lucky, and nothing got wet, and I got the transit. Seeing was terrible because it was so low on the horizon, but it's just kind of an exciting event.
Yeah,
So
it was,
Mercury happens a lot more frequently, I think, though. So I don't know when the next one is after this, but if we get skunked out, we can just look forward to the next one.
hope it's good.
So I'll show you my old Mars ones from the last apparition in 2014. Let's see here. Yeah, this one actually got, I think, onto spaceweather.com. This is a derotated image. I didn't put the stats in here, but I think it's like 11 separate individual images over the course of an hour that are derotated in Winjpos. And I'm a little crazy. I go north up sometimes and I go south up sometimes. So this one is a north down, so south is up. And so I always put the little thing here. It tells you which direction is which, and the little arrow rotating here. That's straight out of Winjpos. I just grabbed that little graphic from there. And you asked for the rotating one. Let's see. There it is. Okay, so here's my rotating one. Let's see, just zoom in. So this is, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 separate nights that I used. And you can make a full planet map, and I can show you what the full planet map looks like. And then you
That's
render
awesome.
it back onto a sphere in Winjpos, and you can spin the whole thing around. It's kind of fun.
Shot from Earth,
Shot from
everybody,
Earth,
not
yeah,
from space.
I know. And I know if you guys follow me on all my social media sites, I actually have had this Jupiter one up for a long time now, and I'll see if I can find that one. And the Jupiter one was getting a lot of traction from lay people. I don't know, saying that it looks so fake, and the moon landings were fake, and the Earth is flat. So if you feel like being an internet troll in reverse, go ahead and please comment on this video. I'll find it in a second here, but it's been astounding. I posted it like a year or two ago. It's the same thing as this Mars one. It's just a Jupiter one. It's rotating around. It's up on YouTube, and I can't believe how people actually. I mean, in this day and age, with all the science in the world, that people are still thinking like this. Fine. I mean, you can say, you can argue a million different ways that the moon landings were faked. I don't think they were. But the Earth is not flat. You can perform the science on your own if you had the budget and the time and the wherewithal. It's not that hard. The Earth is not flat. And I didn't fake the image. I took the images myself. I'll show you. We could spend the next 5 hours going through how I did every single little step. It was a lot of pain, and it resulted in something really nice, but I think it's a little crazy. All right, let me see. Where is some here? My channel. Let's see if I can find this now.
They're a lot of work.
Yeah. Let's see, videos.
Well,
So you
while
can
you're
get this
finding
off of
that,
my
Russell's
profile.
displaying something interesting.
There you go.
What are you showing us, Russell?
Oh, this is the 25-29 Sunspot group over a 5-day period by Shah in Indonesia, I believe. It is really good white light work.
That's cool. I wonder if you could like make one of those, not an animation, but like what is that, morph? You could kind of morph it between the 5 frames there. That would be kind of cool. I don't know. I'm a sucker
Yeah,
for
because
animations.
I believe he caught the 6 days of it too. I think he had a 6-day run.
Oh,
He
really?
has great weather. Never has clouds.
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to spend some time with Chris Go at the conference, and he lives in the Philippines, and he just gets like such astounding weather. And he's in the tropics, right? And I think Shah is too. I forget what country he's in, but it's transient, right? It's like the best we can get in the U.S. is Florida, right? It's just very tropical there. You get showers in the afternoon and then they move out. And then at night, it's clear a lot. They don't get a lot of this frontal systems that we do in the continental parts of the northern hemisphere. I don't know if down under is the same for you, Paul, or not, but that's cool. Yeah, I don't get that consistent weather. I think the best I've ever had weather-wise is like 4 or 5 days of cloudless skies. And I won't even be nitpicky because I get nitpicky about my seeing. Once you've tasted good seeing, you don't want to go back. That's a cool picture. Who took that one? The color ones are the best.
Oh, Mike, did you manage to find your Jupiter?
I did, and I will make sure in fact, I just shared this out in the last couple of days here. This one is, I'll skip the little textual intro part here. So I think this is the same. So it's a kind of a no-no to, dear Lord, it's so loud. It's kind of a no-no to take Jupiter on multiple nights and try to make a rotating image out of it. But I think, same thing, it was about 5 different nights to make this. And you can see some of the seams if you have a keen eye. But I tell you, this is a lot of fun to watch full screen on YouTube directly with the music and everything. So there's a Red Spot Junior. And you can, I'll tell you, because I know there's a seam right here. So this is where this night here ends and the next night begins some days later. And sometimes you can see there's too much of a shift between, like there's a break in the clouds there because it changed. It did a little change. So we actually had an interesting discussion. So derotation is really cool. It assumes that the features that you're derotating, let's say from the left side hemisphere to the right side hemisphere over the course of, let's say, 4 hours from limb to limb on Jupiter, don't change a whole lot. But they actually do. And Jupiter in particular changes frequently. And so we determined that after about 2 hours, some of the cloud features would actually start to smear because they're actually moving relative to each other. So if you compared an image of the left side at minus 1 hour from the center to the image on the right side at plus 1 hour, so a 2 hour time difference, you would actually see the same feature in both sides. And so when you derotate it, they'll stack up on top of each other, but they will actually have moved during that time duration. So it wouldn't look the same, and it would actually smear, which is the whole point of doing derotation. So derotation has a law of diminishing returns on planets that rotate fast like Jupiter. So it's kind of an interesting little exercise, but I can show you really quickly on in Winjpos how you actually do this. So what you have to do is, once you've done your image measurements, you do this other cool thing here called map computation. And in here, you would add all of the different image measurement files. Let's see. Actually, let's just do this one here, because I know this one should work. Or not. No, I must have moved them all. And what you'll see is an interesting sample of what it's doing. I need to get onto Mars, I think. Let's go to Mars, map computation. Let's try that. Let's see. Okay, that's a bad one. Maybe not. Let's kill that one. Let's add, yeah, this one. This is the good one. This was that image that I showed you before. So what you see is in a single image that is rendered into a map space. So basically flattening the whole thing out. So the poles get stretched, and you can see that the South Pole is invisible because it was tilted away from Earth. And so when I derotate this one, this is actually a bunch of derotated images, but you can effectively think of this as one picture. And then I add a bunch of more together to fill in these little gaps here. You end up with a whole planet. So I'll add the rest of them in here. And it's just the same thing we did before. Just take the little wire frame that goes around the image, and that's your image measurement file, IMS. And then we'll derotate all these. Now what you're going to notice is they don't all seam up very nicely, so there's some Photoshop or GIMP magic that happens in the background. But there they all are together. And you can kind of see where one begins and the other ends because they're treated just like stacks with no transparency and no blending. So what you do is you say, let's see, set optimum latitude ranges, and this will splice it up like film editing. If you think of the old film edits they would do to movies. So now you can see each one, and it tells you where they begin and end, and they're all spliced together.
That's cool.
So Yeah, so I photoshopped all the little edges out as best I can. Basically, you do them all individually and then feather the edges together. Magic.
Oh. Shot from Earth.
Yes.
A map of Mars shot from Earth from a backyard in North Carolina.
That's right.
It's amazing.
You can do it too.
Yeah, you can. That's right.
What is this? Comet 252P linear. Look at that. That was taken last week.
Yeah, Daniel took this one from the astronomy village. There's that galaxy M81 by Paul Hutchinson.
Hot dang. What was the stats on that? Let me see. Was it 19 lights, 3 minutes. He's using a digital SLR. That's great. So just over an hour. Oh, I see 14. Nice.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm working to see if I can get another, get something else. I had to refocus.
Here's an image of 2529 flaring. I believe it's flaring. Is it flaring, Paul?
Doesn't look like it.
What does that mean, flaring?
I thought the glowing in the center of the image was a solar eruption or flare.
Well, I know on the limb it's called a prominence, right? So would this be like just prior to a prominence emerging, or?
What he's done is he's inverted the image, so what would normally be black is now bright white.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Okay. Huh.
So it's just a sunspot then.
This is Sunspot.
Yeah.
That's an animation you did of
That looks like a
time
nice little
lapse
flare.
over 30 minutes.
Must be just the aftermath of a flare. That Sunspot group's been doing a lot of C-class flares as it travels across, but little C-class flares. Isn't there any big ones?
So the sun is fairly active right now then. Oh, look at that. That's cool.
Yeah. That is very cool.
I'm going to show you guys one last thing that I can do in GIMP here, since everybody loves animations here. And I think you could do this pretty easily in Photoshop too. It's just kind of nice to know how to do it. You can actually, no, it's not here. That's a regular open. So what you have to say is, so if you had a bunch of pictures that you wanted to make into an animation, you say open as layers. And then it says open image, and then you're just going to open a bunch of them all at the same time. So I have a bunch of images that I would normally derotate. Is it in here? I think it's in here. No, not that one. To open, you just basically go through and highlight all the pictures. It's a control or a shift click. You say open. So instead of opening, there's a tab view in GIMP. So instead of opening a bunch of tabs here, what it's doing is opening them all as individual layers. Maybe I don't need so many. What was this? 17. Keep going. Come on, little computer. You can do it. So it's actually just a two-step process. It's fairly simple. It's just the waiting time. So I'll toggle a couple of this. So GIMP has, concept of layers, and you can turn them off individually. So we're looking at 13, and then I'll toggle 17 back on. And you can watch how much Mars moves. And the times are, this is 10 minutes of rotation on Mars. It's not very perceptible, but when we do not a save as, an export as, and we just call it ESP all.gif, then you say save as animation. And you can save the gap in between the frames to whatever. Oh, darn. What didn't it like? 8 bits. There we go. So we was trying to render a GIF as an 8-bit file format, and these are 16-bit TIFFs, so I had to change it down. So as it exports here, I'll bring up a window to open it in. I like to view it in a web page. It might take a minute here, so I'll let somebody else talk, and then we'll come back to it. Are we strict on an hour?
No, not at all.
Well, Perry, this is your image. You want to explain what it is?
It's an animated GIF.
Holy cow.
It's an animated GIF of asteroid Winchester crossing M42. I think it was back in December.
That's cool.
That's very cool.
I just happened to be out imaging something else, and I saw in the Sky X it was getting close and heading in the right direction, so I set up that's actually a Monday, a Tuesday, and a Friday. Took about a week to cross.
Yeah, so I went and looked, and maybe I'll pull it up here too. It seems to have a somewhat elliptical orbit as a main belt asteroid. So maybe when you shot it, I didn't put the right dates in, but it was probably at one of the further points, because that's a good amount of time span for a main belt asteroid to go that distance.
Yeah.
One of those happy accidents. That's why I got into asteroid stuff too, because you sit and take pictures of these deep sky things, and you get these long exposures, and you get these long time periods across multiple days like you had there, and it just like fills asteroids all over the place. You wouldn't think that with the vastness of space that you have these rocks flying through your image here, but in satellites and all sorts of other stuff too. It's crazy.
Yeah, I have one of the Leo triplet with and just it's not animated. It's just there. I copied in the asteroid moving. It moves very little in the image, but it's just what you were talking about. I was out imaging the triplet and I found some artifacts in it. Turned out to be an asteroid crossing.
Very cool. As your animation comes, Mike.
Yeah, mine just finished, and so it's closed the little window there. So we'll go ahead and go over here, and then we'll just open it. And let me get recent files, and I upgraded to Windows 10. I like it, but some things I find a little weird. Let's see. My cockamamie sorting methods here. So we called it here GSP all. So there you go. A couple of these are a little wonky looking images that I probably wouldn't derotate and probably trash, but you can see this is, I think, an hour and 10 minutes worth of rotation on Mars, and it's very, very apparent how much it rotates when it gets to the end and rotates back to the beginning, because it's just a loop. But all I did was, in GIMP, I said open images as layers, and in this version I had to scale it down to 8-bit mode because they were 16-bit TIFFs. And once I scale it to 8 bits, I just do an export as a GIF and give it a time period between the frames. So there are 300 milliseconds between each frame. So a third of a second about. That's it. How did you do yours, Perry? Your asteroid crossing there. And I'm going to go look it up too.
I did it in, I think I did it in Photoshop.
So you can go to the Minor Planet Center. They have an ephemeris page. And I just say get ephemeris. Okay, so now what I notice here is the sky motion over the course of, this is every day for, I don't know how many entries that in, 20 entries. Next 2 or 3 weeks. The next 2 to 3 weeks it goes from 1 arc second per minute, or 0.99 to 1.2, which is it's a good amount of variation, I think, for a main belt asteroid to have. So I thought it was somewhat elliptical in orbit. Let's see if we can change the outputs there. But that's a good find, because that's magnitude 12.9, goes to 13th magnitude, and it is extremely bright in your pictures. So you did a great job of catching that.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is things that move that fast will they'll tend to blur out when you do a stack. So like, how much time is each night? I would say an hour or two,
There
right?
were 30-second subs.
30-second subs, okay. But like, how many subs per night? Let's say, because that, if you stack it the wrong way, you won't even see those.
Right. I think I did like 30 of them.
That's pretty good.
Well, it's moving fairly slow, so it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Have you tried any of the near Earth crossing ones? Those are rough.
I've only seen them visually. I've never been able to image them. They just fly.
They really do. They're a drag to find, because I've actually found asteroids that had there's one, look at that. Asteroids that have that's awesome, I love that. Asteroids that have actually improper predictions per the MPC, which is fun. Those are fun, because you're like, okay, you go to find these things, and you're like, wait, it should be here, and then you find it later, you're like, holy cow, it's like off by, 10 or 20 arc seconds. You're like, it's just so weird, right? So they got it wrong, and so I'm like, okay, I'm going to measure this and then submit it again, and hopefully they can, get some good accuracy in mind to make sense out of it.
Yeah, I use the SkyX,
Mm-hmm.
and it has a feature that you can for the asteroids, it'll put a little arrow across the asteroid of the path it'll cross in one day.
Oh, okay,
So you can
that's kind of
depend
cool.
on the length of the arrow, you can see how much it'll move in one day. So I find that very helpful.
Yeah. Weird.
And
Okay, so yeah.
if all the orbits were perfectly known, they wouldn't need us to take a measurements for them.
Right.
This little fellow crossed the Earth last year. Asteroid 2004 BL86.
You take that one?
Yep. Well, if anyone else has got any last things I'd like to show before we close up for the night.
I got M97, which is a planetary in Ursa Major. I just got to copy it to Dropbox so you can show it.
Perfect.
Yeah, I can't find mine. I think yours is better, actually. Oh, look at that. Let's get another one. You're pretty good at this, Paul. It's like watching a speeding bullet fly by. You don't have any star trails on those either. That sucker's moving. Holy cow. Is this a single night? What is this?
Yep, I'm pretty sure that's just over a single night, a couple of hours.
Wow, nice.
Same asteroid as before, but just as it got closer to Earth.
Yeah. Very well done.
Okay.
Of course, the sun animation, just of course.
That's cool.
Here's another image from Peary. What are we looking at, Peary?
That's the lower left is M97, the Owl Nebula, and then the galaxy is M108. Both up in Ursa Major.
Excellent. And with
A little
that,
noisy because I got quite a bit of haze coming in.
well, if no one else has anything they'd like to show, we'll end it here.
That was fun. Good show, guys. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Michael, for showing us Winjpos.
Maybe next time I'll get some clear skies. We'll see.
That'd
Happy to be
brilliant.
here, guys. Thanks for the fun.
Thank you, Perry, for showing up.
Thanks. Had fun. Hopefully, next time we can get some dark sky, clear skies with no moon.
And thanks, Russell. And with that, we'll end the show and we'll catch you next week. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Paul. Have a good one, guys.